We are back in the building. Listen, welcome back. I mean, this week, I'm just going to give you all sugar right now. Sugar, and I'm telling you this week, my guest that I'm about to bring on. First of all, welcome to No Excuses Presents the Ray Lewis Show. If this is your first time, buckle up. If you come back every week, then here we go again. Listen, this week for me, I'm super excited. A lot of you know about my wrestling career, and I was probably a better wrestler than I was football player, if you could believe that.
Right.
This next guest that I'm bringing on is somebody that just wowed me the first time that I saw him just wrestle on a mat. And I thought he was the most dominant thing I've ever seen. And he became and take wrestling because of my relationship with my father not being there at the time. And I saw this guy wrestle and I was in awe of just what the mentality he had going at what he did. And without further ado, I want to bring on the 1988 gold medalist Olympic champion, Kenny Monday. My brother, how are you doing, man?
Man, thanks for inviting me on, man. You know, I'm a big fan of this show, man. Big fan of yours as well. And, you know, it's just good to be here, man. It's good to see you. And I've watched, man, you've had some great guests on, man. And it's funny, it's fun, it's exciting, it's inspiring. So, man, I'm humbled to be in. I'm humbled to be here.
I gotta go back because in 1992, my high school coach ended up calling your team to try to get in touch with Kenny Monday. I was at the time, whatever, the most dominant wrestler in Florida, and he wanted me to wrestle the great Kenny Monday. Do you remember getting that call in 1992?
I do, man. I didn't know who Ray Lewis was at the time, and it's funny because when we met, I told you the story, right? Because I remember the coach calling me, and I was so in training and getting ready for the 92 Olympic trials, and I was so busy, and I just at that point, man, I was starting to say no to all like camps and clinics and appearances, and I had to focus in and really try to prepare for the games. And so I said I told him that I couldn't make it, but I was watching. I watched it from afar, man. But I do remember the phone call, and but you know, I didn't know that was Ray Lewis. I didn't know that was Ray. I didn't know that was Ray Lewis in the name. Right. I didn't know.
This was funny about our relationship, and this is what's funny that you guys should know how we met. Like I idolized him for so many years, and just so happened I'm sitting at a car wash, and I'm getting my car wash, and I lean my head back, and this image walks over me, and I look up, and I'm like, "There's no way this is Kenny Monday. There's absolutely no way this is Kenny Monday." And that's how we
unbelievable
met at a car wash. That's how
I know, unbelievable story because I was coaching that time at the Black Zillions, and with Rashad and Usman and Vitor Belfort, and we had just finished practice, and I caught a car wash. So, you know, I love to have a clean car, so went to the car wash, which was only 2 blocks down from our gym in Boca.
Yep.
And I came out, and I remember like I turned my car on, and I saw this white Rolls Royce. I'm like, man, somebody's driving a Rolls Royce. Who's that? Right? So I come out, and you had your head down. You were like looking at your phone or something. Yep. And I look over, and I said, man, that's Ray Lewis. We had never met. And so I went over to you, right? And I said, hey, how you doing, Ray? How you doing? I'm a big fan. You kind of looked up and said, yeah. And then you kind of did a double take. I said, my name is Kenny Monday. You're like, what? Kenny Monday? The Kenny Monday? And so, yeah, the rest of the series, I tell people that story, they cannot believe that story. I'm like, that's how you guys met? And it was such a blessing to meet you, because if I wouldn't have been in Florida at that time, we would have never met, right?
Yeah.
Probably.
Bro, look, let's go all the way back, man, to Tulsa.
Right.
And some of the things that you had to deal with coming up. when it came to race and discrimination of not only just blacks in your communities, but black wrestlers and things like that. What got you into wrestling at 5 years old? Tell me about the YMCA.
Right.
What got you there?
Right. And just a great story, because that's where I started wrestling at the YMCA and after school program. There was an after school program, and my elementary school was 2 blocks from the YMCA. Mm-hmm. And so I have 2 older brothers, Mike and Jim Monday, that started wrestling before I did. I was like only maybe 4 or 5 years old. And so I would follow those guys to practice. And it just kind of how I started. And as a matter of fact, the street that's on where the YMCA sits today is named Kenny Monday Place. And that's where I started wrestling. But yeah, I just, we got into it, man, just after school program. And before we had a coach that was a wrestler. He was like sport director at the YMCA. And so he wanted to start a program, and that's how we started. And this so happened that he wanted to start a program and started a wrestling team, and I just kind of filled in, and I never looked back. And I just fell in love with the sport. And I think one of the reasons that I continued to wrestle is I recognized right away it was a martial art. Mm. A lot of the kids I grew up with, like karate guys, that's doing the Bruce Lee times, man. And Bruce Lee was a big name, and everybody was doing karate. I started wrestling, and then I recognized right away that I could take those karate guys down, and they could never, they couldn't get up, right? And so I had the advantage, and so that's kind of how I started wrestling. I'm starting to get some rain, man. It's starting to rain on me.
That's what makes it beautiful when it's live.
I know, right? But yeah, that's how I started, man. I gotta get this thing centered. That's how I started, and then so I just never looked back. Yeah, that was in 1965 when I started. Right, I was born in '61, so like 65, 66. So it was a tough time to wrestle, and it was we would show up in Oklahoma, like only one of the only black teams. We were only black teams, and sorry about that, Ray.
No, you're good.
And can you see me?
Yeah.
And so we were only black teams, man. So we would show up at the tournaments, and we sometimes we wouldn't be in the registered on the tournament, on the brackets, right? And so they would it was a resistance, man. It was just like some of the parents and some of the organizers didn't want us at the tournament, right? And so we would have to fight our way through it, man. That was really, Ray, I tell you this, it was one of the only times in my life that I thought about quitting the sport.
Wow.
Yeah, because we'd show up, man. It was just not everyone was like that, but a lot of the kids were like racist and didn't want us there. And of course they wanted to win, right? So they didn't want us there. And then some of the parents wouldn't want us there. The referees were like taking matches from us, man. It's just like really, it was hard to win. And so I remember one time I was wrestling this kid, and a really tough kid, and he had beat me a couple times before that. And so the referee took the match from me, and then I came off the mat, right? I gotta get situated here. I'm sorry. So I came off the mat, and I'm sorry about that, man. And so I know it was gonna rain on me. I was outside this camp. You see me?
Yeah, this is real life. Go ahead. I love it. This is real.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. And so I came off the mat, and I was crying. And my dad said, "Look, you can't change that. Referees, they're gonna do what they do. You don't worry about that. You worry about working hard and continue to wrestle. And it just can't be close. The matches can't be close, right?"
Wow.
And so from that point on, and it kind of changed my life. On, I was like, I worked my butt off, man. So because I was afraid that the referee was going to take the match, right? Mm. And so I worked my butt off, man. And then so at the matches, I was a different kid. I was a different kid, man. I was like coming out fired up, and I was so afraid that the referee's going to take it that I would go off on that kid, man. I was pinning kids, and it it took me to another level. It really took me to another level. And because I never wanted the referees to take that match. And so, man, it just, it motivated me. But I was afraid, man. I was afraid that they were going to get me. So I would come out, man, and I would just be so intense. And just took me to another level. It really did.
So you took that Oklahoma State, you landed Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
3-time All-American. Probably the most decorated wrestler that came out of Oklahoma State, unless you can introduce me to somebody else. But then you go to the 1988 Olympics, my brother, and you do something else. And this is really interesting, right? Because on my segment today with Championship Mentality, we're talking about how do you overcome adversity, right? So it's really interesting that we're having this conversation with you, because 1988, you become the first Afro-American ever to win a gold medal.
Yeah. I mean, it's an amazing thing, because we had some great champions come before me.
Yeah.
You know, guys like Lee Kemp, guys like Campbell, Carl Adams, Bobby Douglas, which coached me in the Olympics. Yeah. Bobby Douglas made the 1968 Olympic team, and but he got fourth place. He didn't medal, and then he was the first Black coach to win NCAA title as a coach at Arizona State.
Wow!
And so, you know, Bobby was one of my heroes, and man, I really didn't. I knew the fact that I had opportunity to be the first Black Olympic champ, but it just didn't dawn on me. One day after practice, you know, we're in Seoul, and Bobby said, "If you win, you're gonna be the first."
Wow!
And it just hit me, man. It hit me like a rock, right? But it motivated me, it inspired me. Like, wow, that's right. When I thought back on it, I go, man, you're right, Bobby. And he said, so yeah, you're going to make history tonight. You're going to make history this weekend. So, just an amazing thing to witness, but also to be a part of. And you know, but it was kind of a scary thing when he first told me, because it just all of a sudden it lifted my my mindset, and it lifted me up. Like, wow. I mean, that's something that will last a lifetime, right?
Yeah.
I don't care if you're the first at shooting marbles. If you're the first world champion, you know, they can't never take that away from you, right?
No.
And so it was motivating. I didn't shrink from it, man. It really it inspired me more than anything. You know,
that's so big. And you won the gold in 1988. So 1992, something interesting happened. You had an arm injury in 1992. Right. And you went into the finals against a guy that you had wrestled before. And I want to say he intentionally tried to hurt your arm in the match. And you fought through that. But you ended up losing that match. Give me what happened in 1992.
Well, you know, really, I hurt my elbow probably 7 days before the tournament started. You know, and it was like the last practice of the day, and I was wrestling with this just one of the alternates. Had an incredible day of training, and really, man, I was 92. I was probably wrestling better than I ever had.
Wow!
Right. Because I won 88, right? And I come back and I win world title in 89. And then I didn't make the team in 90. I got beat in the finals, right? And then I got back, and a lot of that was just because I was traveling, man. I was doing a lot of camps and clinics after I won 88 and 89. You know, I'm hot commodity. Everybody's trying to do camps and clinics. And at that point, that was how we were making a lot of our money. You know, I mean, we're not a professional sport, right? Wrestling is not a professional sport. And so a lot of the money comes from camps and clinics, kind of what I'm doing today, camps and clinics and speaking engagements, that kind of thing. So it's a grind, but it's time consuming. You got to go travel. You got to book your deals. And a lot of times have like a day you overlap. And so, but you're out there hustling, trying to make that money. And then, so I was doing that in 90, man. I wasn't quite ready. I wasn't I wasn't dialed in. So I had to get back and start saying no to a lot of the camps and the clinics and the speaking engagements and focus on training. So 91, I got back and I ended up losing in the finals of 91 world title. So 92, man, I was pumped. I was motivated. I was wrestling better than I ever had. I was saying no to all the camps and stuff. So I was ready to go, man. I made the team, beat Dave Schultz in the final in the trials. And then I get there, man, and I hurt my elbow 7 days before the tournament started. So I really didn't know I was going to be able to compete. Because when it happened, it was really bad hyperextension. But I went to the doctor and the trainer. They said, man, if your arm wasn't in such good shape, you'd have tore everything.
Wow.
You'd have required surgery. But, you know, it was just a bad hyperextension. And so all I could do for the next 6 days was just bike, you know, to keep my weight down. I could just bike and jump rope, but I couldn't get on the mat. And so, man, and really didn't know I was going to compete, you know, but deep in my heart, you know, I'm going to compete with one arm if I had to, right? I'm going to be on that mat. And so, but man, all they could do was like do a sleeve with ice and stem machine. And so they brought it back. I was probably about 75% in my right arm, in my left arm. I wasn't 100%. But man, 2 days before the tournament started, the swelling went down. Probably like, you know, it was still swollen, but it wasn't, it was better, right? And so, like I said, it's about 75%. And so, man, I went to that tournament and had the best tournament of my life. I mean, I didn't get scored on, pinned the guy in the semifinals, beat the Russian in the quarterfinals 9-0. So I'm wrestling really with one arm, but I'm so focused and so dialed in. And then so I remember, Ray, talking to a teammate, Kevin Jackson, which he was 92 Olympic gold medalist. So he's my teammate, workout partner, Kevin Jackson. And so we're talking after the semifinals. I pinned it out of semis. I go, Kevin, man. I mean, it just goes to show you what, you know, how big God is, right? And I just put my faith in God and just believed, never doubted I was going to compete, right? So I just turned it over to God. I go, man, it's amazing that now we're both in the finals, right? After going through that, he's just like, man, it is amazing. It's a blessing. And so I go through the tournament, and I think it's so funny because the whole time in the Olympic Village, you know, they have me in a sling. They have me in the brace where I have my arm in the sling, right? But I didn't want to walk through the village
like that,
showing my arm, right?
Yeah.
So I would take the brace off, right? And I would put my arm in my shirt like this. And I'd just walk around place. I had to keep it bent. So I would walk around the village like this. I didn't want my competitors to know my arm was hurt. So it was a big secret, man. But then I think, right? And so the guy in the finals, the Korean, man, I wrestled the Korean 5 times before that. I never lost to him. Never lost to this Korean, right? But he was a tough competitor. He got silver in 88, and then he won in 92, and he got silver in 96. So he was tough, man. But we go through the whole match, and then a couple times, I had in positions, the arm was hurt because he kind of went after me a couple times, right? And
what was
I ended up losing that point. Gave up 1 point to lose the match, and that was the only point I gave up the whole freaking
tournament. I remember 92 was the year that I paid attention to that. I was 16.
Right. Right. But it just goes to show you, man. It goes to show you, man, you know, just how God works, right? And God, He gives and God takes away, right? So it's just like, you know, I wouldn't change a thing, man, because it really taught me a lot about, you know, just the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat.
I think you just answered something, which would be my next question, right? Like, when you found yourself dealing with that adversity, what was your formula of coming out of that?
Just my faith, man. You know, just my faith. I mean, nothing rattles my faith, right? And from every time that I've been in situations, I've always relied on my faith, right? Yeah. Even when I remember, man, when I was training to make the 88 Olympic team, right? I had to beat Dave Schultz, which was the defending Olympic champion, right? And so I had to beat Dave to make the team. And there was days, man, where I just wasn't there, right? I wasn't making the progress that I needed to make.
Yeah.
You know, I was having some tough days, right? And I just was like, you know, I was stressing too much about it, putting too much on me, man, and just really trying to dig in and get the most out of my workouts. And I was having some tough days, man. So I just really just kind of, I said, look, you know, this is your fight. All I'm gonna do is work hard, stay focused, keep believing in my dream, keep believing in your promise, and just keep fighting hard to get there, man. But I tell you what, there was a Special Olympics going on, like one of the weekends, about a month before the Olympic trials, and I got asked to just to be a volunteer at the Special Olympics. And so I went to the Special Olympics, man, and just kind of helping all the kids, you know how it was there. And so I'm just going through this, man, and it dawned on me. I'm like, here these kids are, you know, I mean, they're just happy to compete, right?
Wow.
Yeah, these kids had different ailments, you know, some get through the race and they were so happy to participate. I mean, these kids would come through it. This one kid he came in dead last, man. He was the last. He was the last one to make it across the finish line, and he was so pumped when he got to me. He gave me the biggest hug, and I had a medal for him. And that dude was so pumped, so fired up, man. You would have thought he won the Olympic Games, right? And it just dawned on me, go, man, you know, we were so blessed to be able to do the things we do and have the faculties, you know, and the you know, the mindset to do what we do, right? And so it just really put me in a different mindset, man. I'm like, look, you know, I'm gonna be able to go for my dreams and live my dream. Yeah. And I need to quit complaining. I need to quit whining and quit feeling sorry for myself, you know, and just live the dream, man, and turn it over to God. Do what I do.
So this is good. So this is really good. So,
yes.
So listen, this is so good. First of all, it hasn't dawned on me yet that I'm freaking talking to Kenny Monday, who was
right.
I was 13 years old. Go
right. Right.
But so I told you I'm doing this series right now, championship mentality.
Right.
A lot of people are getting a lot of things from it, brother. But from a champion, from an Olympic champion, what's three things that you think you had in your toolbox that kept you with a championship mentality? What's your faith? We know it's your faith for one.
Yep, faith for one. Just my belief system. My belief system, man. My belief system is so strong, and it was, and that really started early in my life. I mean, my mom and dad kind of put that in me. Goes, dude, no one can ever believe in you more than you. No one. I can't. The only one is probably God, because He knows the answers, you know. But no one can believe in you like you, right? And so my belief system, and then my focus. I would say my faith system and my focus.
Faith,
but my belief,
focus.
Right. And really, in that order, right? Because you know, I had that dream when I was 10 years old, when I first realized what the Olympics was all about. It was in 1972. You know, that's when Dan Gable, you know, won a gold medal, and that 1972 team was probably, arguably, one of the best teams ever.
Yeah, but I wasn't born then.
Right. But Dan Gable, you know Dan Gable, right? You know Dan
Gable. I do know.
Right. So that's the year he won, all over the news and all over the TV and Wild World of Sports. And they did this big story on him, and so he was the guy. But I was 10 years old when that happened, and that's when the dream started. That's when I knew that the Olympic gold medal was the ultimate prize in the sport of wrestling, because we didn't have the NFL, we didn't have the NBA. Yeah. The Olympic gold was the ultimate, right? And so from that point on, that was my dream. That was my goal. And I'm like, dude, I want to be the best in the world. I want to, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, I want to be able to say I was the best in the world, and I want my name in the conversation as one of the best ever. And so that was my goal, and that was my dream from that point. So, man, Ray, I don't ever in my life remember not approaching a match, not believing I can win.
Wow.
I mean, in my heart, from start to finish, right? And it was just, I didn't win all those matches, but you couldn't convince me that I wasn't going to win. You couldn't convince me. I've champs and kids that hadn't lost, and I didn't win all those matches. But I tell you what, a lot of those matches I did win was because I believed I could win. I never showed up to that match not believing I wasn't going to win.
Bro,
to this day,
when I tell you, that's why I was so dominant on the mat. My belief system was already made. I was already made up. It was already made up. Like, I'm not losing. I'm not. By no means.
And people don't know this. They don't know when we met that day at the car wash. They don't know the rest of the story. Ray was like, you remember, he's like, man, I miss wrestling. I want to get back into it. You showed up the next week with your shoes, right? Then I said, yeah, man. I tell people Ray came in, they worked. They said, really, Ray came in and wrestled? I go, yeah, we went takedowns. And I said, Ray was trying to get me, man. Ray was trying to get me. And win. I was like, he showed up ready to win, dude.
I finally got the chance to do what I always wanted to do. And when me and you popped up on that mat, I said, I cannot freaking believe I'm wrestling Kenny Monday right now. Listen. And in my head, and I saw it in your eyes. I said, oh, he trying to win. I said, me too.
Right. No, I wasn't gonna let you know takedowns that day.
Oh,
I couldn't let you get no takedowns that day. But yeah, that's it, man. That's it. I approach every match, man, and every situation, with the mindset that I'm winning. Right? I never go in with I teach these kids, man. I'm like, dude, no one can believe in you more than you.
Yep.
Yep. You got to believe in yourself. You got to believe. You got to believe starting out. A lot of these kids, man, it's a trip because a lot of matches that I wrestled, these kids, I can tell they were afraid, right? Yeah. And like I just remember wrestling people that were so scared, right, and not believing they could win, But then they by the time they realized me, it's 10-zip. Then they start hitting some stuff like, oh, now you want to wrestle, now you want to believe. But they were so tight, because they could, just afraid that it was Kenny Monday that they didn't give me their best. Didn't give me their best until it was too late.
So now we fast forward all of these years, and we now, one of my companies, Spire, we now hire Kenny Monday as our wrestling coach to start this vision. And so from a child idolizing someone, finally meeting that person, getting a chance to be around you, and then call you and say, brother, I have an opportunity that I think our dream has finally come together.
Right.
Give me where you are with how excited you are to build this wrestling program, which is at Spire Institute, which is in Geneva, Ohio. Right. And the moment you got the call from me, how excited are you? What are we building? And I want to let you get out of here because this is amazing. But it's amazing,
right?
Because it's about faith, belief, and focus, and all of those three things led us to each other. But when people talk about adversity, the things you went through as a child, the things you went through just going through discrimination, the things that you had to overcome just to be an Olympic champion, like that's not a small thing. Trust me.
Right. No, that's huge. It's huge.
To be recognized as probably one of the most dominant wrestlers of all time. And now we get a chance to work together. Just give us your thoughts.
Man, I'm so excited, man. I tell you, when you first, before the Olympic trials, and I'm coaching my guy, Jordan Oliver, which he made the Olympic team, right? We had an incredible weekend. And so when you told me, it was like, man, it was kind of hard to sleep because, and I've told you, we've talked about, my dreams and kind of the things that I wanted to develop as far as, building a training center, Olympic training center and building an opportunity for young kids to reinvest, man. And one of my mottos is, you reinvest in our youth so we can make a deposit into our future.
Wow.
And so I'm all about trying to dive into this thing, man, and get into these kids and really develop these kids and prepare them for the future. I've got two boys that wrestle. They're men now, Kennedy and Quincy. And Kennedy is just getting ready to graduate in December, and had a great career at UNC. And Quincy's he's got years at Princeton University where he's wrestling. He's an All-American year before last, and so he's looking to be a national champion in the next couple of years.
Proud Paul.
Yeah. And so to have these guys support and really to bleed back into those guys and have those guys come through, they're excited about it as well. They want to come in and back and help these kids grow. But man, I'm telling you, it's just an opportunity of a lifetime.
Yeah,
it's an opportunity of a lifetime, and I think God has led me here, and I think it's because I've coached kids, I've coached on a high school level, I've coached on the college level, coached on the world class level, and so to have this opportunity come full circle, right? Come full circle. My kids are old enough now to where they're on their way, and so now the timing of it is really good because now I can come back and I've got the time to build something special. And to build something special. I'm so excited about the team that we have at Inspire International. I'm excited about and what their plans are as far as not just with the wrestling program, but just with the overall program. And so I'm excited about it, man. I'm pumped. It's hard to sleep. It's just because I'm strategizing. I'm thinking about how we're going to set this thing up. I'm thinking about the kids I'm going to bring in. Yeah. So man, I'm it's amazing because it probably wouldn't even happen if we hadn't met that day at the car wash. Yeah. We may not be here today, right? And so I'm excited to work with you, man, and I'm just pumped, man, to start building these young guys and young girls, and I think we got something special.
Brother, we are excited. When I took it to the team and told them that I had a piece that I think could really take us to the next level, there's no other person that I thought about at a higher level of respect to because of what you're talking about, right? They call us, I call them our children.
Right.
They my babies, and we owe them that to Pat.
Right. Yeah.
Brother, let me tell you something.
Man, they have no idea. They have no idea what we're bringing.
No idea.
I'm telling you. I mean, they have no idea. I'm everything, and I say I'm ever been in my life, right? Yeah. I think from everything that I've been through, the ups, the downs, the trials, the triumphs, the disappointments, everything that I've done in my life has led me to this opportunity. And so I'm ready to just pour it in, man. I'm ready to give everything I have to build something that we've never seen before.
Well, now we side by side doing it. So
right.
Brother, listen. Thank you so much, man. You are absolutely amazing. For me, the most dominant wrestler I've ever seen on the mat, gold medalist Kenny Monday, probably one of the most decorated Olympians we've had, brother. I'm watching the Olympics now, and I say,
right.
Call me when your boy he got in, and so I'm just even more excited that we're gonna build something really special. Kenny, your impact over my life, brother. You have forever changed the way that I approach the mat, and now I know why. We had the same thing, we had the same beliefs, and we found a way to overcome adversity.
Right.
Brother, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I look forward to working with you. God bless you.
God bless you too, Ray, man. I can't wait to get back on the mat. Bring your shoes.
We got to do it.
Bring your shoes.
Don't worry, Kenny. Just know that I'm not.
I can't wait.
God bless you,
man.
All right, take care.
All right, see you.
Wow, checking in. I mean, you know what? I'm going to be a kid for a minute. Can I please just be a kid for a minute? Honestly, like this guy, he was everything that I wanted to be and that I inspired to be as a kid growing up. And when I started to watch him in 91, 92, 93, I was just getting into my wrestling career. And I'm telling you, like, I watched this guy just morph into this animal, and I became that same animal. So what's going on now in my life is every day I'm trying that again. And I told you guys about the cycling world and what's been going on and everything. But this week, I just want to really focus on adversity and what we're dealing with in adversity and how do we figure out ways of not around it, because some adversity you have to go through. So getting into the championship mentality, we're going to jump right into that. We're going to go right into it with Coach. I'm always excited to bring my guy on. I mean, listen, this man right here and the things that we talk about daily. But this week, around the championship mentality, we're talking about overcoming adversity. Whew. We all have had or still dealing with some sort of adversity in our life. I don't want to take too much more time. Coach, get on in here. We got to have some conversation today about how do we deal with overcoming adversity. What's up, bro? How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. This is a tough topic, man, but along this championship mentality journey, you're going to know how to deal with it. How do you deal with adversity? How do you deal with conflict? But first of all, I want to tell our team, whatever you call a thing, that's what it is. If you call it adversity, if you call it crisis, that's what it is to you. What may be a crisis to me may not be a crisis to you, and whatever a crisis to you may not be a crisis to me. So whatever you call a thing is very important. But today we want to focus on a couple of tips, a couple of solutions that we've used along our lives that may help you along the way. And the first one I'll give them, Ray.
Go ahead.
How do you handle adversity? Number one, man, just like our parents taught us, man, we got to go into prayer.
Yeah.
You got to take a deep breath. Whether it's meditation, let's just say meditation, just for the sake of it. Sometimes you have to step away, take a break, breathe, go into prayer or go into meditation. Sometimes our problem is when we go into prayer and meditation, we do a lot of talking and we're not doing enough listening. And so the part of prayer and communicating with the Father and petitioning the Father and dealing with meditation is quieting things down in your mind to get solutions. And so for us, man, the first thing, whenever we go through something, and we've learned this now, it took over 2 decades to deal with this. When adversity or crisis hit, stop, take a break, go to the Father and meditate. So that's the first one we want to share.
Yeah, listen to this, because that is so good, right? Because, and me and you have covered this before, right? But if you think about this, like successful people see adversity not as a stumbling block, but as a stepping stone. Because I want you to think about the things that we went through, and some people may be going through it. And sometimes you find yourself in an adversity and you're dealing with adversity. You're like, man, how do I get out of this? But then you realize, you know what? I can actually use this moment to become greater. I can use this to elevate me right to the next level. One of the things about like really understand adversity teaches one thing. Adversity ultimately will define who you are. That's what it will. That's what Coach is talking about, right? It's how you view it. It's how you see it. It's how you chew on it. It's how you meditate on it. It's how do you let it affect you? And I'm telling you, if you've ever watched successful people, most people, just like in a crisis, right? If you go back and read a bunch of billionaires, whatever, biographies or whatever, a lot of them found their greatest businesses in the greatest conflicts or adversities we've ever had in our lives. Ever. Why? Because there's so much opportunity where there's pain. I always say this, and you guys have heard me say this before. On the other side of pain, there's glory. But you got to be willing to push through it to get to it. See, a lot of people stop the first time they feel it. But I'm telling you, when you feel adversity and you know you have a foundation, and you said something that was key, T, maybe it's not prayer. Maybe it's meditation. Maybe it's taking a couple of deep breaths and just gathering yourself so you can be clear on how to deal with adversity that you're in.
Hey, that's a big point, Ray. And perspective is such a part of this. And I know we talked about perspective as a part of one of our principles, but you're so right, man. You have to have a mindset, a championship mindset, focusing on solutions only. We don't deal with problems, we deal with solutions. So you will never be known for the things that you've done. You will be known for the things you overcame, the things that you survived. That's what you will be known for, by the things that you survived. And so, guys, teams, man, when your problem hit, because it's going to hit, adversity, crisis, whatever it is, focus on the solutions. That's our mindset tip today, our mentality tip today, because the old me, maybe the old you too, would just focus on the problems. This happened. Now I'm upset about this and that and this and that. And I used all that energy focused on that.
Yeah.
Where even different cultures, different people, when crisis comes, when adversity comes, they look for solutions. And that's why so many billionaires and millionaires were created during this pandemic, during this crisis. Because instead of looking at what happened, they looked at what they could do. Just like me with training. Training shut down. My strength is in-person training. But I had to adapt. What do you do? How do you overcome adversity? How do you overcome crisis? You adapt. We had to shift to online. We had to shift to Zoom calls in America and all over the world. Meetings no longer happen. So when adversity comes, man, focus on the solutions, adapt to it, and it just makes your championship journey a whole lot more pleasant.
Yeah, listen to this, right? Strength doesn't come from what you can do. We realize this, right? In the middle of our workouts, right? Strength didn't come from us screaming. Strength didn't come from us, and this. No. Strength came from overcoming things that you once thought you couldn't do. That's where your strength comes from, right? It's always impossible until you make it possible. That's the thing. That's the one thing about really understanding adversity. Sometimes adversity is in our lives to make us better. It challenges us. It brings you out of your comfort zone. And I'm going to tell you something about adversity, and everybody knows this and everybody agrees with this. It does not feel good. You are most of the times you're isolated. Most of the times you're by yourself. Most of the times, and when I say by yourself, isolation and by yourself is two totally different things, right? Being by yourself is when you have to make up in your mind that I have to figure this out on my own. And that's when you find your greatest strength. One of the things about overcoming true adversity or any type of thing that isolates you. I always say this, my greatest, me and you alone together, coach, our greatest ability came when we were isolated in that weight room. The things that we were going through, the things that we were dealing with. I'm talking about from loss, from everything, bro, from death, from losing this, from losing that, from losing money, bro. You know the things we've been through. And we found ourselves saying we can handle this two ways. We can complain or we can get busy. Coach, we got busy.
We got busy. And you got to be careful out there, especially when you're dealing with emotions and feelings. Like you really have to step back, man, and take a look and not make any decisions when you're going through this adversity or dealing with crisis. You really can't jump to conclusions. Take the emotion out of it. Take the feeling out of it. Like you said earlier, get clarity. And I'm going to leave them with this last tip. And that is you have to unplug. Ooh. Just like your phone could be working just fine. But at some point, when you call in because it's not working, they say turn it off and turn it back on. Just like the TV cable. We need you to turn it off and turn it back on. Our lives are no different than that. Yeah. Now, keep in mind, I'm not saying run from adversity. That's different. Don't run from conflict. Face it. Own it. Deal with it. You're looking at it from a different perspective. Well, we are no different. Sometimes you got to unplug, take a step back, deal with meditation, deal with God, deal with prayer, and then come back. So those are my tips to you. So sometime when you're going through something, whether it's a spouse, coworker, family member, teammate, whatever the case may be in life, sometimes before you go to that other side of you, you need to unplug, take a walk, take deep breaths, man, because you don't want to make a permanent decision over a temporary situation.
Man, listen here, Coach, I'm going to let them go after this one. We learned this many, many years ago, but it took us years to master it. It doesn't get easier. You just get stronger. We realize the life sometimes. I'm telling somebody out there all the time, don't pray for an easy life. Pray for the courage to make it through a hard life. Because if you're already set up to pray to make it through a hard life, you know life does not get easier. But oh my goodness, you can get stronger. And in the midst of you getting stronger, I want you to really grab hold to this. And I want you to hold it. I want you to wrap it up and rock it like a baby. Because what you're willing, listen to me, what you're willing to not make easier, but what you're willing to push through, I guarantee you, when you get done, you will be better and stronger than you've ever been. But you got to push through it. I'm not telling you to run from it. Coach said something interesting. Some things in life we cannot run from. That's why think about where we are in our world right now. Think about the situation where we are with the pandemic and everything that we're going through. Like losing people. I lost my father a month and a half ago. I spent my first Father's Day without my father. That won't get easy. That will not get easier. But I tell you what I will get. I will get stronger every day of my life. Because some way you got to grab something. And what I grabbed is I grabbed the way he used to sing and the way he used to walk around the house with his pants pulled up right up under his nipples. and I realized that sometimes life won't get easier. In your life, you have the ability to get stronger. I want you to this weekend, because this week is about adversity, but understanding what a championship mentality is. Champions pay a price. They pay a heavy price. And I'm not talking about in sports. I'm talking about in life. But the people who make up their minds to push through the tough times. My mama told me a long time ago, I never forget it. I asked her, I said, Mom, why we don't have nothing? Why we on food stamps? Why things so hard? She always say, Junior, she say, tough times never last, baby. She say, but tough people do. And we'll figure it out. And I'm telling you, it never got easier for us. But my goodness, did I watch that woman grow, and did we get stronger? And Coach, this week, adversity, if we don't leave people with nothing else, I think we need to leave them with a simple solution of what brought us through. We kept each other accountable. We were loyal to the commitment that we sacrificed for each other. And when any one of us went through something, we didn't talk each other through it. We listened each other through it.
And just like, man, so kudos to you, man, on your first Father's Day, missing your father, man. And I lost mine too. And remember, I text you on Father's Day. And it's amazing what you're talking about now, because to some people, everybody grieve different. People handle situations different. But what did you do? You focused on the good times. When I think about the death of my father, I think about everything that he sacrificed for us to go to certain type of schools and for us to have food every single day. Look, man, it's all in how you look at it. Waking up is a blessing. Sometimes things get so hard for me, man, this going on, that going on. I just have to sit back and say, well, at least God, I'm alive.
Yes, sir.
I get a chance, Lord,
yes, sir,
to make it right. Yeah. And so for our team that's out there, man, we're not going to give you a principle during this championship mentality journey that you're not going to need, that you're not going to use.
Yeah.
How do you overcome adversity, and how do you deal with crisis. We just gave you a whole bunch of things dealing with focusing on solutions, not running from it, owning it, praying, meditation, praying for clarity, peace, not making a permanent decision over a temporary situation, and unplugging.
Yes, sir.
Unplugging. Even if you're going through with your spouse, no matter what it is. Look, babe, I need time out. I need a timeout. When a basketball team or a football team going through something and they get beat down, the coach will call a timeout.
Yeah.
He called that timeout because they need to regroup. They may need to breathe again. They may need new instructions.
Yeah.
And they get that and they go out and they make a difference. So our team out there, man, we just sharing another principle with you. I look forward to next week because we getting ready to go into the body part.
Yeah.
We're working hard in the body part, but none of this would work without some of these principles and championship mentality. One day you're going to feel like working out, but something go hit. You're going to get a phone call, an email, a text. How do you handle that?
Yeah.
And so I pray that this is a blessing for our team. And thank you for your strength, brother, and your leadership and your example. And you living it, bro.
Living.
Because I know you loved your father.
Yeah, man.
But you looked at it a different way.
I did.
Things may not have gone the way you wanted it in your childhood, but look at the blessing that you had in the second half.
Yeah.
You had a chance to do things with your father that I never even had a chance to do with mine. Work out.
Absolutely.
You did a workout thing with us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, bro, celebrate the victories, man, because, everything in life, there's a season.
Absolutely.
And that's why you can't get too high and you can't get too low. You got to be stable through this whole process. So when things going good for you, team, that's good. But when things go bad, we're going to need that same type of temperament to overcome it and keep going.
Coach, it gets no better, brother. I appreciate you, man. Another day, another opportunity to keep going, brother. Adversity, it defines true character. And the things we want, with things we've come through, the things we continue to go through. Every human being that's listening has that ability to figure it out. And not only think about it becoming easier, but you can always find a way to become stronger. Definitely when you got the right people in your corner. God bless you, brother. I appreciate you, man. Another week of champions. Next week, brother. Rounding up, when I tell you, I think when you listen to the things that we talked about, right? 3 things Kenny gave, faith, belief, and focus. When we talk about adversity, understand the things you got to go through. Just understand it this way. You're going to have some sort of formula. And maybe your formula isn't faith, and maybe it isn't focus or belief. Maybe it's meditation. Maybe it's something else. But whatever it is, you have to have a foundation to make it through. You have to have a system that guarantees your success. One of the things Kenny Monday said, which was so profound, is he went into every fight, never doubting would he win or not. That's the goal of life. How are you progressing in life? Every step of life, you have to be climbing, because we don't stay the same. Nobody stays the same. And sometimes through adversity, you find your best you. And sometimes you won't win that game. You won't win that race, but it will build the character of who you ultimately turn out to be. Listen, take this away. If you don't take nothing else this week, whatever you're dealing with, whatever you dealt with, don't run from it anymore. Let's deal with it. Kenny went straight ahead every time he went on the mat. If you ever watched him wrestling, he was the most dominant thing straight ahead I've ever seen. I figured out a way to deal with things straight ahead. Some pains in life are not for you to get rid of. They're for you to use it. And every time you use it, you figure out a way to become stronger. This week, take your adversity and put it in front of you And this time, don't be defeated because of the fear of what it may feel like. We got a chance to keep going. We got an opportunity to overcome all odds. This week is your week to deal with it. And let's become better along the journey. Thank you for joining. Absolutely amazing Ray Lewis show presented by Team No Excuses. And that's what life is, right? Life is purely about making no excuses. Kenny Monday was probably so dominant with his arm. And for a man to hide his weakness because he didn't want somebody else to know about it, and then go out and give everything he had. And remember, he didn't win it, but I tell you what he did do. He set his legacy forever. That's what champions do, even when you count it out. Even when you count it out. God bless you. This week, find a way to push through whatever you may be going through. See you next week.